Good. Oh, it's lovely to be here anyway. I've been really looking forward to this because I'd like to share with you some techniques that I have, techniques that I've been using and that I've found really quite life transforming for me, mostly taken from Reiki, but also Qigong has been a big influence. Because I did Qigong and Tai Chi for about 15 years before doing any Reiki, and also Pranayama is a feature as well as of the kind of work we're going to be doing today. I'm kind of waiting to see more names. Everybody, good. I can hear you. Sarah has said she can hear me, so I'm assuming that sounds. That's lovely. I love to hear things like that. That's very encouraging. I've never thought I had a fantastic voice, but in the terrible sort of rush there, I've lost the notes. But I do know what I'm going to say. Fortunately, Reiki means universal or spiritual energy, and the particular frequency of energy that we draw on is the energy of compassion and healing, and it's an energy that is very subtle. It requires practice. We all do it, actually. All parents do Reiki. Every time you comfort a child, you're doing Reiki. And it's like wellness. It's unspectacular. It isn't spectacular. It seems that only the bad things are spectacular. So, it's very quiet. It's a very gentle thing, Reiki. Somebody asked me last year, how do I know when I can feel this key, this energy? How do I know that it's working? When trying to help somebody or themselves. And the answer I gave, I think that they found rather disappointing. I found it disappointing, actually, because I said, well, as soon as you feel a sense of caring for yourself or for that person. Anyway, I've called this session the space between. This is my own working title because of the situation we're in, this, you see. So it's the space between and the polarities defining that space, and the space that defines the polarities. All right, so we'll be doing a lot of that sort of thing. But before we start, as I said, the energy is one to do with healing. I'm going to try and shift my good. I've just had to shift my window to access something. Now, in Buddhism, there is a tradition of healing, and the Buddha himself used healing. He healed people, and he used this. He recited this to heal. So there was a very strong perception of words being part of one's physiology. It wasn't like a kind of charm, really. It was based upon the knowledge that words and all sensory things, of which words are made of, really sensory fragments that are constructed into metaphors of meaning, but they're not aside from the physiology. They're part of it, and so they're coming from a place of knowledge. And the Pachanga Sutra, the 7 factors of enlightenment. I'm going to read these, actually, because I know I probably forget them. But the first, of course, is mindfulness, and the second one, I'm having a go. The second one is investigation into truth, and the third one is energy. And then you have after the energy, you have rapture and tranquility. And then the last two are concentration and equanimity. There you go. I've done it without having to refer to my list. I'm very chuffed with myself. Now, in Reiki, there's a thing called Reiju, which is a blessing. And I can talk about that more tomorrow when I talk about the history of Reiki. I don't want to talk about the history of Reiki much today. I want to get on with doing things. But it's basically a blessing. But in a way, the first blessing that was ever used, certainly within the Buddhist tradition, was the Buddha's own, which is the Pachanga Sutra. And Bhante has recorded this for us. So he's going to bless us all, the long, the short, and the tall. And if I can I've got an MP3 here. And what I want you to do is just to breathe and listen. You don't need to put your hands in gasha or anything unless you feel you want to. But I'd like you to assimilate the words, just the sounds. There's stories in the sutta that tell of healing, and these 7 factors also are mentioned. But if we can just drink in the sounds, okay? Here we are. You're on, Bhante.
Pachanga Sutra Samsare samsaratanam sabbadukkha vinasane satadame cha bhujange marasena pamadane bhujitvache chime satta tibhava mutta kuttama ajati majjara pyading amatam nibbayangata Evamade gunu petam aneka guna sangaham osadancha imam mantam bhogangcha panamahe bojango sati sankato dhammanang vichayo tata viryam piti passadi bojangacha tata pare Samarupe kabojanga satete sabadasina munina sammadakata bhavati bahulikata sammatantiya binaya nibbanaya cha bodhiya etena satchavajjena sotite hotu sabbada ekasmin samaye nato Moggalancha kasapam gilane dukkite diswa bojange satta desayi te chatang abhinantitva roga muchim sutankane etena satchavajjena sotite hotu sabbada ekada dhammarajapi Gelane nabilipito chunda terena tam yeva vanapetwana sadarang samoditmana abada tangha utazi tanazo etena satchavajjena sotite hotu sabbada pahinate cha abada tinanam pimahesinam Maggahata kilesawa patanupati dhammatang etena satchavajjena sotite hotu sabbada bojanga sutta nittitang.
Sorry. Thank you, Bhante. With Reiki, we have 3 sort of strands to the exercises. And one is the breath, the other is the imagination, and the third is movement. Now, the movement, you can do virtual movement. It doesn't happen in too many exercises, but you do have movement in some. You can visualize the movement if it isn't possible for you to move. What I'm saying is that really you can do these exercises anywhere, even on a train. And I do this, fully integrate these exercises into my life. Even I'm a musician, so I practice the piano a lot, and when I'm not practicing the piano, I'm doing these sort of things, the pranayama, Reiki, a few asanas. When I'm playing the piano, I do these sort of things. In other words, I use an actual technique which applies these skills. They're not separate. And that's the exciting thing about them, because you're investigating all the time with these sort of spiritual practices. And it's like being a child and wondering what you're going to discover next, because you do discover things. They may be very, very small insights, but a child only needs small insights, to be delighted. Now, the first strand then is the breathing. Now, so we're going to go straight into the breathing, and I suspect that most of you probably know how to do yogic breathing, and it may vary from the technique I use, but what I use is the 3-stage breath. So expanding the stomach and then expanding outward horizontally the chest. In order, if you imagine it, if you think it rather than try to do anything, it will work better. And then a very slight, very, very slight lift at the end with the breath, not in a muscular way, you see. And this brings me to what I want to offer. Whether it's any use to you, I don't know, but give it a try. And what I want to offer is the idea of breath sculpting the posture. When we think, oh, I pull myself up. And of course, the movements are all muscular. They're all muscular. But if you think what a pneumatic kind of power can have on the body, it's considerably greater, and we pull ourselves up and we're probably breathing in the wrong way. So breath needs to be coordinated with action, you see. Now, so the breath is sculpting the posture. Now, there are things that happen anyway. With the in-breath, there are two things that happen that have been discovered in research, and anatomists would argue about this, but the sutures of the skull, when you breathe in, they actually expand. They've found with technology that this happens in recent research. And I've researched this, and not all medics do describe the sutures as immovable joints. In fact, they actually say it would be unhealthy to have completely immovable joints, which makes sense to me. So they move on the in-breath. And at the same time, the sacrum, the triangular bit at the bottom of the spine, slightly tilts back. And this is a wonderful thing. And on the out-breath, you have a more internal sort of activity going with the vagus nerve, so that the tone of the vagus nerve increases. So the out breath triggers the chill out system, the parasympathetic. So at the end of the day, when you flop down in a chair, you're absolutely washed out. That's what you're doing. You may know this anyway, but I'm just saying that the breath works with the body all the time in ways we're not really aware. We just think of this exchange of oxygen, carbon dioxide, but there's all kinds of things going on. It's amazing. I mean, the eyes, the cornea of the eye, it has no circulation. It only has the air. The epidermis of the skin, as I'm sure you know, there's no circulation there. It has the air around it, you see. All these molecules of air. The sea of chi, I like to think of it as, but I mean, that's my language. That's the language I like. Okay, but it's all right to think in purely physical terms. Of course it is, with all of this, actually. So it's tremendously important. Breathing is a living document of our reaction to the outside world. You know, I do an exercise with fingers like this. I get distracted because there's a visual display like this. You see, you hold your hand up like this. If you can be patient with me and try it, and you go 1, 2, 3. I have to look away because I get distracted by the delay. Right, so we've got a metric cycle of 4 there. We're going back to school. We're learning something. Okay. Now, in this hand, you do the same thing, but you miss off the little finger. You go 1, 2, 3. So this is your first exercise. We have to put them together at the same time and keep them going. Okay, are you ready? After 2. I want you to get it wrong, actually. And maybe I will get it wrong too. And that's okay. And you'll see why. Now, watch yourself while you're doing it as well. I'm afraid you've got to do that too. Watch your breath. Okay, 1, 2. So after 12 synchronized movements, we realize that the body understands arithmetic. But does your breath? Did you notice you were holding your breath? I mean, I can't see, but when I did it with a class. This was including Bunty. Oh, I loved it because everybody, including Bunty, it was terrific. It was like a chorus line of breath holders. It was wonderful. Why? It's counterproductive. If you have a problem, isolate the smallest part of that problem that you can and breathe out. Why? If it's to do with the body and coordination and doing a sequence of movements, the reason is that if you're stiff, if you lock your knees, for instance, and try to jump in the air, you won't get anywhere at all. You see, you need to be supple. And the out breath is the way to do it, you see. So with sculpting, we've already got a head start with all the things that the breath does anyway. So we expand with the stomach then. We expand with the stomach. But as you expand, right, the stomach's sort of expanding out, just slightly, very slightly, even if you only think it without doing anything, tilt as though you've got a tail, still got a tail. You've devolved, okay, with a tail like that. And then you will feel in the lumbar region a lovely sense of it. It's a very wonderful sensual feeling, actually, of the curve of the spine. As the rib cage expands out, you'll feel but it isn't a stretching of the spine like that. You see, it would stretch how it needs to, how it wants to, and then the last bit, like a sniff. Yeah, not like that, like a sniff. Okay, so the breath is breathing you. We don't breathe. The breath breathes us. This is the idea. Okay, so let's try a cycle. And when we get to the top, in, down, you let go, you see, down, Pachanga style. And then if it's comfortable, not if you've got any hernias or anything, but if it's comfortable, an abdominal, lower abdominal contraction, okay, gentle, okay. Not all teachers teach that, but quite a lot of yoga teachers do teach that. And I am talking about it now because it's crucial to the way this breath ends, you see. Okay, so just let's try getting that far. Okay, after 2, so we go 1, 2, expand, out, lift, in, let go, drop, Pachanga style, and contract. All right. Now the words are good. You can use your own words if you like, but so you have expand, out, lift, in, drop, contract. Let's try it one more time. Okay, after 2, 1, 2, expand, out, lift, in, drop, contract. Now, if you can, I wonder if you could stand up. I haven't got enough room here to organize the perspective that would be required for me to do this with you. I never teach like this. I'm one of these guys that walks around all the time. I don't know whether that irritates people or not, but it's just, I suppose, a way of directing nervous energy. I don't know. So I'm having to sit. I feel as if I've been super glued to a spot against my will. So could you stand up? If you can stand up. If not, don't worry. You can do this lying down, but really standing up for this last bit, even if it's just for one breath, to get the thing that I'm getting at, you see, is when you contract the lower abdominals, or don't contract them, but at that point, also do a buttocks clench. Okay? It's a bit like a Mulla Bandha, only it isn't, because with a Mulla Bandha, you'll be raising your chest. But anyway, do a buttocks clench. Okay? So if you're standing, you stand shoulder width apart, toes pointing forward. And don't fuss and worry about, oh, well, should my toes be turning out or turning in? Don't worry about that. What is important, you watch animals, how they get their posture right. They go around in a circle until they've got exactly the right spot. I'm not suggesting you do that, but what I am suggesting is that you rock. If you rock from one foot to another, do you get that feeling of rocking from one foot to another? Okay. You will find your comfort, your sort of comfort zone within that little area. You get a sense of being anchored. Yeah. Now we're going to do that breath again, and at the end, clench your buttocks. Okay. So after 2, 1, 2, expand, lift. Sorry, my fault. Let's start again. Okay. So after 2, 1, 2, expand, out, lift, in, drop, clench. Now hold it. Just you can carry on breathing if you like, but hold that clench. Now what you notice is that all the muscles right down to the floor flex, just slightly. And don't you feel rooted? I'm confident you do. I'm confident you all feel rooted. If you have a problem, I'm sorry. Obviously, you can't help that. Then you can sit down and think this. So it's that sense of rootedness, and already you've got a wonderful social tool there. Because if you're in a group, you say you're in a group, that situation where you're in a group and you kind of don't feel very confident. You don't feel like a very strong member of the group, a bit of an outsider maybe. Always stand on 2 feet. I mean, this is just simple body language that most people know anyway, but I'm going to say it. Don't put your weight on one leg, because what you're doing, the message that goes out is that you have a weakness. Now, if you stand on 2 legs, on 2 feet, you will look confident. If you stand on 2 feet like this, you will look super confident, you see. You feel that no one can knock you over. They can, of course they can. But the point is, you're giving out the right message. So it's good. It's good to feel confident. So if you've never done this before, then it would really please me if you find that a good thing to do, that you find it a useful thing and you're enjoying doing it. Right. So relax now. Now we're going to change the focus of our attention a bit now. We're going to think, stay standing, and we're going to think about space between. I am going to read this because I don't quite know it from memory confidently. Okay, relax into that posture. You don't need to keep your buttocks clenched, by the way. Standing alone in stillness, one can observe every mystery present at every moment and ceaselessly continuing. This is the gateway to indescribable marvels. Lao Tzu. And it's used sometimes in describing a series of exercises in Qigong called Jiangjong. And you probably all know them because, it's the holding the imaginary balls and that kind of thing. They're tremendous exercises. I've done a lot in the past, and I've started revising them again actually recently. But the one I love is the first. And that's what you do now. You're just standing. I love it. And you stand on a railway station and, you miss your train. Great. That gives me a chance to practice the first one, which is called Wu Qi. Now, we're not exactly going to practice Wu Qi, but what I want you to do is it's just inspired by Wu Qi, because Wu Qi would not, I don't think instructors of Jiangjong would ask you to do this, but I want you to do it because it's to do with polarities and it's to do with the space between. Now, okay, just calmness, stillness. Now, if you place your eyes just ahead on a few feet ahead on the floor, or just half close your eyes. Right, you're making by doing that, a physiological change. You're moving towards, by doing that, you're telling the brain that you're thinking of sleeping, basically towards an alpha state and then a theta state. So basically it's another way of relaxing, and being receptive. Right, okay, so now lift your eyes and I want you to look at the wall in front of you. Put your attention on the wall in front of you. Nothing strenuous, just look at it. Now, put your attention on your own body. In fact, you can just, I think you can do this with your eyes closed, probably just think of the wall in front of you. Now your own body. One more time. The wall, your body. Now the wall behind you. Then your body. The wall behind. Now your body. Now the wall to the left. And your body. To the left. And your body. To the right. And your body. To the right. And your body. The ceiling. If you're outside, just as high as you can think. And your body. Ceiling. And your body. Okay. Now the earth, deep in the earth. And your body. Deep in the earth. And your body. And now the whole room in your body, the space in the room. Sense the chi, the sea of chi. Well, we all know it's air molecules colliding. But some of us know that it's chi the dance of chi. It's a dance. And I want you to imagine that you picked up a seashell. Imagine putting it to your ear. That is the amplification, of course, as you know, of the air molecules colliding. That is the amplification of the song of chi. Okay? And now take a breath, a good breath, and sigh. Now with the sigh, if you open your mouth, it's approaching the Reiki breath. With the Reiki breath, they don't talk about any of this stuff in Reiki, by the way. I haven't heard of it spoken of anyway. The Pranayama, the classical yogic breath. But what they do is specify breathing through the nose on the inhale and out through the mouth on the exhalation. But the tongue resting on the roof of the mouth on the inhale and dropping down just behind the bottom teeth on the exhalation. Okay? So you can try that. Just try that for a bit, okay? Just on your own, all right? It's rather nice, actually. Still trying to let the air sculpt the body. Maybe I'm throwing a lot at you. I don't know. I mean, I know you will know a lot that I've spoken about, so it helps. And I suspect you've all done spiritual work before, and that counts for a lot in this, because you don't need sort of visual aids, so to speak. Now, if you want to, you can sit down just in front of your computer, and I'm still here, as you can see. I hope you could hear me okay, that my voice was sufficiently clear for you whilst we were doing all that. And what I want you to do now is just hold your hands like this, okay? You'll hold your hands like this. In fact, it might be a good idea before we start this to just give them a bit of a rub, get a bit of heat going, a bit of heat. This is all very physical, you see. It's magic without magic. That's what it is. It's all in the physics. The friction creates the heat. Okay, now open your hands. Now, you may know this one as well. You imagine you've got a ball in your hand. Okay? You've got a ball in your hand. And play with it. Roll it around. Okay? Now let it get bigger. It's getting bigger. It's a bigger ball now. It's moving towards football status. Yeah. It's a great feeling. And now it's moving towards beach ball status. Yeah. There it goes. Okay. Now, just blow it away. Keep your hands here. Now, I want you to think of these polarities. Left palm, right palm. Left palm, Right palm. Carry on doing that. Don't do anything strenuously. You can make it move a bit, gradually faster, and you can feel energy moving between the two hands. And it's very palpable. If you don't, it doesn't matter. We're not into sensation. We're actually into investigation. Yeah. You might find something different. Okay, now raise the hands like this, just above the head, and carry on doing that. So left hand, right hand, or whichever way you want to think. All right. Now this is called the Reiki Shower. Okay. Now I want you to take a good breath in. Turn the hands so they're facing like that, and bring them down the body, and imagine energy like rain. Imagine it, sort of dripping off every part of you, every nook and cranny, your elbows, your shoulders, the tip of your nose, right down. And then if you sort of shake your hands, yeah, and then come up again, turn your hands and exhale as you go down. I forgot to say that. Exhale and imagine the going down, and then up again. And down, then up, and always finish an exercise with gasho. Okay, it's kind of honors the skill. I knew a woman. She's very high flying pianist and kind of academic in music, and her daughter, who was ridiculously talented, you know the kind, and. When her daughter played the piano, she used to get her to sing a song to the piano to thank the piano afterwards. And it's wonderful. I think it's a great idea, actually. It's showing respect. And it's showing, here's a buzzword. It's being used more and more in modern spiritual teaching. It's showing gratitude, which by some teachers is described as the emotional signature of receivership. And there's one researcher, a guy called, I think it's called Greg Braden. You probably know who I'm talking about. I haven't quite remembered his name. There's research back to the apocryphal writing, St. Thomas, and apparently they practiced this kind of thanking before receiving. You see, it's very powerful, and it is to do with frequencies. It's to do with energy, of course. But it's good. It's good anyway. It's a good feeling. It has rewards. So there we have the Reiki shower. Now the use of this is terrific because when you've got a long day. I'm fortunate. I can do more or less what I like now. I'm sort of retired or not retired. I write a bit of music. For the media and that kind of thing occasionally, but basically I don't have to turn up for work in the morning because I'm a dinosaur, a retired dinosaur. That would be the day I don't want to retire at all. But I used to remember having several hours still to do, and I was absolutely worn out. And I used to do that. I'd just when no one was looking, this is the other version of it where you don't bother with starting there, but you scoop energy up, you see, up to the crown and then down. And even if you imagine yourself doing that, if you're low in energy, it works. It does work. I mean, You know, I don't like to think of you having to do it. I didn't like being like that. I still do get like that. Sometimes I get tired, of course I do. But I've considerably more energy than, well, 20 years ago. I had less energy than now. Why? Because I practice pranayama and these energy exercises. Now, I'm looking at the time. So that's one exercise. I'm just going to show you one other one quickly, and this is called Joshin Kukyoho, which is inner cleansing, and this is a terrific exercise. And well, I do some of these exercises walking around. You feel good. And there's two versions of this exercise. I'm going to give you the version that's in the pack. I'll be sending you a pack tonight. And I didn't want you to get it too early because I wanted you to digest what Bunty had sent you. But I'm going to send you this tonight. And the two versions, I'll do the version that is in there. And then I'll talk about the other version. You breathe in, draw energy in from the crown. Imagine doing that. Or if you find that difficult, you see, it's really to do with polarities. It's focusing on one point and then another point, and it can be more than one point. And then the energy will find its way. So basically, you draw energy through the crown down to the hara or the dantian, if you Tai Chi, using Tai Chi terminology, just about 1.5 inches below the navel. But don't think in a precise way like that. Think of your gut. You draw it down to your belly. Okay, you draw it down to your belly. Okay, so draw the energy down, or just think of your belly when you inhale, and before you exhale, just imagine it sort of spreading a little, and then as you exhale, out through every part of the skin system. Okay, every part of the surface of your body, so that it's making a kind of oval balloon, and you're inside that balloon. Okay. Now this is used as a meditation. Actually, I don't use it as a meditation. I will use either, what I do with what Bunty does. I don't do a lot of meditation, but in a way, all of these things are. And I think that if you're into Vipassana, which is a wonderful, it's the king really of exercises, really. This will help you with your posture, and who knows, maybe with your concentration. I don't know. Okay, but just try it. And so this is a continuous thing. So you can do it for a period of time rather than so many times. So we imagine drawing energy in, and then the balloon begins to creep out of you. It's great, isn't it? Quite extraordinary, because I can feel your energy. You're a very good class. I can feel it's strong. It's strong. It's good. I walk down the street, sometimes doing this, and you feel protected. But I sometimes combine it with metta. That it's a wonderful technique, metta. And when we do these things, we have to think that it is for our highest and greatest good, and for the highest and greatest good of those whose lives we touch. You can't separate it. There is not anymore. I mean, we've come to a precipice now anyway. And I think big things are happening spiritually. I mean, horrible things are happening, of course. Yeah. But spiritually, there's a lot happening. And I don't think it's the kind of thing that is anticipated by the great powers. Those builders of empires. I don't think they understand that, but there is a lot happening, and it's wonderful to be part of it. Now, with self-treatment, because of the time as it is, what I'm going to do now is just to show you the kind of positions of the hands. Okay. Before you start, you do the precepts, the Gokai, which is 5 precepts to be thankful. That's your gratitude, and to be free from anger, to be free from fear, to be honest, which doesn't mean telling the truth. It simply means treating people fairly, not trying to cheat them, and to be kind, compassionate. So I've kind of reduced that down to 3 statements, which is: just for today, I'll be thankful. Just for today, I'll be free from anger and fear. Just for today, I'll be honest and kind. And that's a powerful tool as well. It's real. It's in our physiology. The words are inside us. They're part of us. And you say that 2 or 3 times, and it prepares you. And then you sit quietly, find the calm center of yourself, and raise your hands in Gasho. And ask for the Reiki to flow. Who do we ask? Who are we asking? The first thing I thought, when I was sharing this, we have to give everything a persona, don't we? We can't accept that intelligence doesn't need a persona all the time. A persona is like a suit of clothes, that's all. So what I'm saying is that Reiki is the intelligence of compassion. It's the intelligence of compassion. That is the energy. And it's not an unthinking. How could it be? It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense at all. So you ask for it to flow. And this is the trusting, isn't it? And how can you feel safe? This is why we had a blessing from Bunty to make us feel, to create a safe place for us to practice. But we can create it ourselves. And you create it with this. Reiki's heart-driven. And when we can breathe from the heart, you think of something in your past that makes you happy and breathe it. I think Bunty's hinted at this before in his teachings in the evenings. Breathe from the heart. Imagine the breath entering there and going out of there. And you think of a good thing that you've experienced. Yeah. Like an old man who was absolutely crippled, with his spine had more or less gone, leaning over so near to the floor. Old guy. And somebody said, how are you feeling today? And he said, and this was his present to that guy, and his present to me, and his present to you. He said, the tears of my laughter flow like a stream into a dry desert. That's a gift. That's a gem. That's a gem he's given us all, and other people will quote that. So he's left a legacy just in his response to, how are you today? So breathing from the heart is important in Reiki. And when we do the positions, I'll just go through the positions, because you warm your hands. We're not actually doing self-treatment at the moment, but we can go through the different positions. We start here, okay, over the eyes. Yeah. So that covers the frontal lobes, where all those crazy loops go on incessantly in a tangled sort of horrific, unceasing, movement when you can't get to sleep. It covers those, soothes them. If you've got a headache, I tell you, that's the one thing Reiki, for me anyway, takes it away. Strangely, it didn't at first. It did other things really great things, But yeah, don't give up. If it doesn't work at first, don't give up. And the eyes, which are supposed to bring in about, I think, about 90% of sensory data. So they're very important with sighted people, of course, but there are other things that happen. So that's the first. And then the temporal, the auditory areas, to do with the ears. You can put your hands over the ears and keep your fingers together. Make sure your hands are warm. And as you come, I will instruct you in this when we do it. If you imagine your hands rising from the surface of the skin, and you relax. If you relax and imagine that, what will happen is that the hands, I'm doing it now, I'm not making any conscious movement. I'm just thinking of hands, right? And then you can feel the heat and something else. And then the next position is you could put it either over here. So over here you've got, of course, you're in the area of movement, the motor cortex, and fine movement with the fingers, very fine movement. I usually go for the back rather than that, but you can do, there's no reason why we shouldn't do both. So you put your hands like that, and then at the back as if you're resting on them, but not over each other. Although we do that at one point. So at the back, like that. So at the back, we've got movement of a different kind, the kind of movement where we have to adjust. It's a bigger kind of movement, like when you kick a ball or you're navigating your way across the street and adjusting where you are to avoid things, and which would be the cerebellum, I suppose. But also, of course, back there you've got the tiger burning bright, haven't you? The amygdala. You've got the raw emotion. In body language, they're probably onto it now, but the guy trying to work a scam, typical in body language, typical, they say, well, I don't know, the trouble is the deal runs out in, oh my God, yeah, it runs out tonight. But I just might be, and the hand goes right back there because back there does not understand lies. It doesn't understand lies. It doesn't have morality. It's not to do with morality. It just does not understand this peculiar human trait of lying to each other and getting into all kinds of problems. It doesn't understand it. So it hurts. It hurts because it's being presented with nonsense. So there, the hand goes there. So that's one position. And then down around the throat here. So, right, stimulating the lymph nodes around there. And this, of course, is the chakra. I say chakra, some people say chakra. I don't know what you say, but it's one of those tomato things. But that is the one to do with expression, isn't it, in communication around here. So on the face then we've got 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Okay. And then we go then to the body. And if you have the fingers touching, we go to the heart. The heart. And what they found out, I think it was way back in, it was a guy researching called amour. Strangely enough, he had the French word for love. Yes, and he's called amour, this researcher, and he discovered that there were, in the heart, you have 40,000 neurons, I think, which isn't great as neurons go, is it? But it's what it does. The heart sends far more messages to the brain than the brain does the heart. This is what he discovered. It dictates to the brain. We didn't think that, did we? We didn't think that. Yeah. Yes, the heart dictates to the brain. And there's actually for people with broken hearts, it is an actual medical condition. You know, I don't know whether I can remember. It's something like Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. Takotsubo is an octopus part. You know, I'm laughing, but it's not funny because we've all been. Most of us have been dumped at some time, and your world ends. The sun goes out. Nothing is beautiful in your world anymore. You got Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. I don't know whether it's whether it's when it's very, very extreme or something that people get. That's what happens. The actual shape of the heart is affected. Love your heart. Give it lots of love. Give it lots of love. I mean, you know, often no one else will anyway. So you might as well have an affair with yourself. Be your own lover, your own partner, and then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as much what happens, you know, in the outside world. So that's there. So the heart, and then here, the lower part, you're over the thymus. Now the thymus, of course, no longer exists because it goes, doesn't it, when we reach adulthood? But it's left a lifelong legacy of immune functions, you see. So that's very important. And there's a guy in Taoist medicine, see if I can remember his name, Master Mantak Chia, I think, Mantak Chia. He's wonderful to watch because he does this thing, he presses on the thymus, you see, there. And he laughs and laughs. I've got neighbours, so I can't. So you laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh, and this is what you. And he does the same down with the gut as well. Down with the gut in the right in the belly. You see, and you sort of massage first. You know, he's a great guy to watch. I can recommend. I don't know enough about Taoist health systems, you know, or medicine to know. He seems to be high ranking, but perhaps you can tell me. I'm sure some of you will know more of this than I do. Okay, so we've got the heart, then the lower, and then the stomach. Right, the stomach, just you know, below where the navel is, basically, and then the hands, you just slot them into the inguinal folds. Okay, so that's the position. So we go 1, 2, and then 3, 4, like that, and then we go the heart, the thymus, yeah, then down in the tummy, and then the inguinal fold. And tomorrow night we'll do a longer guide, an actual self-treatment thing. All right. Now it's about time I released you, and I can feel that you've been a very good, engaging class that's been with me. Maybe it's in my imagination. Well, leave me with that delusion, please. So breathe well. Many, many blessings. Many blessings. Metta. Thank you.